recording as well. Okay. Well, Bill, we love having you here. Thank you for presenting mesh routers. I believe we're going to have a part one, which will be our part two next month. What's the topic that we missed in November? What was the title? I'm forgetting.
It was just modems and routers. It wasn't specific to the mesh routers. It was just talking about um, the type of modems and the type of routers.
Well, we will see that next month. And
Yes,
today we're talking about mesh routers. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
I should be sharing my screen.
You are.
Yep.
Well, as an introduction, we're going to begin by saying that dealing with unstable internet or a poor Wi-Fi connection these days is one of the most annoying things imaginable. And you might think about getting a Wi-Fi range extender if your home is huge or if there are too many people using the internet. But don't do that. A bad Wi-Fi experience could be caused by a variety of situations or problems, in addition to many people streaming TV and playing online games. Rooms that are too far from the router or a signal that can't consistently reach your garage or back patio can add to the problem. I've tried a range extenders and I can relate to the frustration. They're terrible. They produce a subpar experience. They add another network name that further restricts your bandwidth. Quite frankly, it's not worth the trouble, and here's why. You've come across phrases like Wi-Fi extender, booster, and repeater, all which seems to alike but operate quite differently. Most brands use one, two, or all three of those names on the same product, which adds to the confusion. So let's be clear. A Wi-Fi extender creates a separate network. A Wi-Fi booster amplifies the signal strength, and a Wi-Fi repeater relays and extends the network range without requiring a separate network name. To define these in more detail, a Wi-Fi extender. A Wi-Fi extender, also as known as a range extender or a wireless range extender, is a device that expands the coverage area of an existing Wi-Fi network. It works by receiving the wireless signal from your router and then rebroadcasting it, effectively extending the range of your network. Wi-Fi extenders typically create a new network name, or SSID, and that requires you to connect it separately. The drawback of extenders is that they can potentially reduce the network speed due to the need to relay the signal. A Wi-Fi booster, this term, is often used interchangeably with Wi-Fi extender, but it also can refer to a device that amplifies or strengthens the Wi-Fi signal. A Wi-Fi booster typically enhances the signal strength without expanding the network coverage area. It is designed to overcome obstacles or interference by boosting the signal power, thereby improving the signal quality and range. It does not create a separate network like a Wi-Fi extender. The term Wi-Fi repeater. which is also known as a wireless repeater or range expander, is similar to a Wi-Fi extender in that it expands the coverage of your wireless network. However, a repeater operates differently. Instead of creating a new network, it receives the Wi-Fi signal, amplifies it, and then retransmits it. The repeater acts as an intermediary between your devices and the router, relaying the signal back and forth to extend the range. This allows devices to stay connected to the same network without needing to switch to a different SSID. All of these devices are aimed to strengthen your current signal over the entire house. They function by capturing the Wi-Fi signal from your present router and using additional antennae to extend the range of the Wi-Fi signal. The question is, are you better off purchasing a mesh router if you're thinking about getting a Wi-Fi range extender or another device? Let's find out. The purpose of a computer router is to connect multiple devices together and facilitate communications between them by forwarding data packets between different networks. A router is a networking device that operates at the network layer of the Open Systems Interconnection or OSI model and is responsible for directing traffic on a network. In a typical home or office network setup, a router connects to a modem that provides internet access from an internet service provider or ISP. The router then creates a local network and assigns an IP address to all the connected devices, allowing them to communicate with each other and access the internet through the modem. Routers use routing tables and protocols to determine the most efficient path for data packets to travel between networks. They also provide additional features such as firewall protection, the quality of service management or QoS, port forwarding for hosting servers. With multiple devices spread throughout your home, a mesh router is like a team of routers that can relay your wireless traffic back to the modem better than a traditional router, especially when you're connecting at range. Mesh routers are relatively new technology that has gained popularity in recent years. The very first mesh router, was introduced by a startup company called Eero in 2016. The company was acquired by Amazon in 2019 that helped to increase the visibility and availability of mesh routers. Since 2016, many other companies have entered the market with their own versions, including Google, Netgear, TP-Link, and Linksys. According to a report by Technavio, the global mesh router market is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of over 21% from 2020 to 2024. The report cites the increasing adoption of smart homes and the growing demand for high-speed internet connectivity as key drivers of the market. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a surge in demand for home networking products, including mesh routers. With many people working and learning from home, the need for reliable and fast internet connectivity became more important than ever. Mesh routers have also been the subject of some controversy, particularly in relation to privacy concerns. In 2018, it was reported that some mesh routers were collecting and transmitting user data, which raised the question about the security of the technology. Mesh routers are particularly a good fit for a large or multi-story home where your Wi-Fi network has lots of ground that it needs to cover so that you have internet access throughout your space. But they can help boost speeds at range in small or medium-sized homes too. There are a lot of new and next-gen options on the market, so it's a good time to make the switch. Here are some of the most popular mesh routers, each with their own unique features and benefits. Google Nest Wi-Fi. The Google Nest Wi-Fi is a popular mesh router system that uses Google Assistant to control the network. It is easy to set up and expand and offers strong Wi-Fi coverage throughout the home. Amazon Eero. The Amazon Eero is another popular mesh router that is designed for easy setup and management. It offers strong performance and coverage that includes features like parental controls and device monitoring. The Netgear Orbi is a high-performance mesh router that offers fast speeds and reliable coverage. It includes advanced features like guest Wi-Fi and parental controls and can be managed through a mobile app. TP-Link Deco is a budget-friendly mesh router system that offers reliability coverage and easy setup. It includes features like parental controls that can be managed using a mobile app. Linksys Develop is a popular mesh router that offers strong coverage, fast speeds. It includes features like parental controls, and it also can be managed using a mobile app or through a web interface. Here are a few examples of popular mesh routers available on the market. It's important for users to research and compare the different systems to find the one that best fits their needs and budget. So we have the Google Nest Wi-Fi, the Amazon Eero, and the Linksys Velo. There are new Wi-Fi standards, and the mesh router supports the new Wi-Fi standards, the latest being Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 6, also known as 802.11ax, is the latest Wi-Fi standard that was introduced in 2019. It offers faster speeds, improved network capacity, and better performance in congested areas. Wi-Fi 6 also includes new features like the OFDMA, or orthogonal frequency division multiple access, which allows multiple devices to use the same channel simultaneously. Wi-Fi 6E is an extension of Wi-Fi 6, and it was introduced in 2020. It operates on the 6 gigahertz frequency band, which is less congested and offers more available spectrum for Wi-Fi devices. It also includes new features like the 160 millihertz channel width, which can provide even faster speeds. Both Wi-Fi 6 and 6E offer significant improvements over previous Wi-Fi standards in terms of speed, capacity, and performance in congested areas. Improvements also include new features that can help to improve the overall user experience, especially at home, office, with connected devices. However, to take advantage of these new standards, users uh, will need compatible devices that supports the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E standards. And these are the logos that you should look for on any device that you purchase in order to get the benefits of Wi-Fi 6. Mesh router placement, and I discussed this earlier. I mentioned it earlier, I should say. The best placement for a mesh router depends on several factors, including the layout of the home or building, the number of access points being used, and the types of obstacles that can affect the Wi-Fi signal. So here are some general guidelines for placing mesh routers. You'll want to place a primary node near the modem, and the primary node should be placed which is typically located where the internet service enters the home. This will ensure that the main node has a strong signal and communicate effectively with the modem. Place the access points in a central location. Access points should be placed in central locations such as hallways or open spaces to ensure that they can reach all parts of the home. This will help eliminate dead spots and ensure consistent coverage throughout. So as you see in our example here, is that the router is located um, in the lower portion of the house, and it looks like it's probably in a front room. And then the nodes are placed in the adjacent areas, including the second floor. And when you're doing your placement, you're want to avoid other wireless devices such as cordless phones, baby monitors, microwaves that can interfere with the Wi-Fi signal. You also want to be aware of any obstacles that could block the Wi-Fi signal. So access points should be placed at a height that allows them to communicate with other access points without being blocked. You'll want to test your signal strength. So after you place the primary node and your access points, you can test the signal in different parts of the home to ensure that there are no dead spots or weak signals. This will help identify any areas that need additional access points or adjustments to the placement of existing access points. So the question about router longevity, how long will a mesh router last? Well, a good router, mesh or otherwise, should last at least 5 years, if not longer. And the key is to watch for the regular firmware updates from the manufacturer to keep the network security up to date. If your router is not receiving these, then it's probably a good idea to start looking for a new one. The other thing to watch for are technological improvements to Wi-Fi itself, which might make it worthwhile to upgrade to a model that's newer and more advanced, such as going from Wi-Fi 5 to 6. Wi-Fi typically gets a big update once every several years, most recently, like in 2019, when Wi-Fi 6 became the newest and fastest version of the standard. The recent arrival of Wi-Fi 6E brought the 6 gigahertz band into the mix as sort of an exclusive expressway for the next gen traffic, but mid-cycle upgrades like that usually aren't worth pouncing on right away. Wi-Fi 7 are 802.11be. As consumers, we will soon be experiencing a quantum leap in wireless performance. From 8K streaming video to immersive VR experiences, users around the world will enjoy an all-new level of increased speed and reduced latency. Wi-Fi 7 should be coming soon. In terms of costs, mesh routers can vary depending on the brand, model, and features offered. The basic router system with 2 nodes range from $150 to $300. Most advanced systems with additional nodes or higher performance capabilities could cost anywhere from $300 to $500. Pros and cons. Mesh routers first of all, mesh routers are a popular type of home networking technology that uses multiple nodes or access points to provide Wi-Fi coverage throughout a larger area. So here's are some of the pros and cons. The pros are extended coverage. Mesh routers use multiple access points to provide extended range, which is beneficial for larger homes are buildings that have many rooms and walls that can block the Wi-Fi signal. This allows users to access Wi-Fi throughout their homes without experiencing dead spots and weak signals. You also have seamless handoff, a feature that allows devices to move between access points without experiencing any disruption in connectivity or needing to manually switch networks. This is ideal for homes with many devices or for users who frequently move from room to room to another. Now, typically this is automatic, but in some cases, when you move, and you can really, I guess, experience it with a cell phone if you have it connected to Wi-Fi, you'll notice that the signal will jump uh, or might attempt to connect to an extender in another part of the house if you have that kind of setup. Also, mesh routers are relatively easy to set up as users only need to plug in the access point and follow the prompts on the mobile app. The app typically provides step-by-step instructions, making it easy for users to install and manage your network. Scalability. Mesh routers can easily be expanded by adding additional access points, making it easy to scale up the network as a user's needs change or as their home expands. As you can see here, this is an example of the scalability where they have um, nodes placed in different points of the house. The cons of mesh routers, first being they're expensive. They're more expensive than traditional routers, particularly for larger homes that require multiple access points. Depending on the model, you could be spending anywhere from $50 to $75 or more for each node that you add to your system. It also has potential for interference. Mesh routers use multiple access points that can cause interference with other wireless devices in the home, which could lead to slower speeds or drop connections. They also require a strong Wi-Fi signal uh, to function properly, and this can be a problem for users in areas with weak or inconsistent signals. The other con is limited customization. They're typically designed for ease of use, which means they offer limited customization option for advanced users who want more control over their network. They often come with default settings that may not prioritize security. It's important to exchange the default passwords and usernames for your router administration interface to prevent unauthorized access. Additionally, disable any unnecessary features or service that may pose security risks. Now, most of the newer routers are being controlled through their smartphones. I have Linksys, and the only way I can really access my router is through the app that's on my smartphone. That takes a little bit of getting used to initially, but uh, that's also the instrument that you use to set the router up to begin with. So you become familiar with it as you're during the setup process, but then you have to be aware of the fact in order to control the router or find out any information about it, it's going to be through a smartphone app. So in summary, a computer router plays a critical role in connecting multiple devices and networks together and facilitating communications between them, allowing users to access the internet and communicate with other devices on the network. Wi-Fi extender or similar devices can produce a subpar experience. They may add another network name to your home that further restricts bandwidth, and they're not really worth the trouble. Understand that a Wi-Fi extender creates a separate network. A Wi-Fi booster amplifies the signal strength. A Wi-Fi repeater relays and extends the network range without requiring a separate network name, which means that mesh routers are a great option for users who need extended Wi-Fi coverage in their homes or buildings. However, they can be more expensive and may have some limitations when it comes to customization and interference. The placement of mesh routers should be optimized to ensure consistent coverage throughout the home or building, with access points placed in central locations away from interference and obstacles. Mesh routers are relatively new technology that has been rapidly growing in recent years. As the demand for high-speed internet connectivity continues to increase, it is likely that mesh routers will become even more popular in the future. Mesh routers offer scalability to allow incorporation of additional access points to effectively extend Wi-Fi coverage throughout your home or business. It supports the latest Wi-Fi technology, such as Wi-Fi 6 and 6E. It's important to note that prices can change and new models with different pricing will be introduced to the market. I recommend you check with your retailers or online marketplaces to get the most up-to-date information on the pricing. To mitigate privacy and security risks with mesh routers, it's advisable to follow the best practices, such as securing your network with a strong password, enabling encryption, regularly update your firmware, implement additional security measures like using a firewall or antivirus software on your devices. And then lastly, it's also important for users to research and compare the different systems to find the one that best fits their needs and budget. Here are some references that I used. The best Wi-Fi mesh networking kits for most people by Wirecutter. Wi-Fi range extender versus mesh network. What's the difference by PC Mag? Mesh Wi-Fi network advantages and disadvantages by LifeWire. What is mesh Wi-Fi and how does it work by How to Geek. Untangling the mesh. Everything you need to know about Wi-Fi systems by CNET. Wi-Fi range extenders suck by Review Geek. So that is my presentation to give you a general overview of what mesh routers are. And I'll be glad to entertain any questions or
Donna, go ahead.
Thank you. A couple questions, Bill. I thought Wi-Fi 7 was already here.
well, I don't know of any Wi-Fi 7 devices on the market yet. It's very well that it could be. I haven't checked when since I wrote that presentation, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not already available. But I don't know of anyone that's actually where it's being implemented.
Okay. Another question for you. For instance, we set up our modem and router and we use Cloudflare for the DNS numbers, the 000 and the 100, whatever. With a mesh router, are you able to do the same thing? Or is it locked?
I don't
I
know
think
if
it's the DNS.
Oh, your DNS?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that would affect the only thing that the mesh router changes or doesn't change is your SSID. It's like if you install your router and then you install an extender, most notably what will happen is that extender will get a new, or will get
Name.
a
Right.
new name or additional extension to the end of it, which mesh routers, that does not occur. They're the same across the entire range.
Okay,
But I don't think I don't think your DNS that a mesh router would affect that at all.
all right.
It,
Of these
it
routers,
kind
do
of comes
any of
down
them,
to the, Donna,
what?
it comes down to the router itself. Sometimes, although not very often anymore, they will lock that down. It's just a setting you usually can change and say,
Okay,
instead of auto picking, let me tell you what I want. So it should be fine.
all right. And then one more last question. It went away when you came back with your answer. So let me think about
Sorry.
it, and I'll lower my hand. If I remember it, I'll raise it again. Okay.
Egan?
Okay. Uh, uh, Bill, I wonder if you could pop back to slide 22 in your show.
Sure.
And this is the one where the house, you should show in the house where you would put the nodes in the mesh network. And had a detailed question about that when it comes
All
up.
right, sure. Hold on, let me share the screen.
Okay. Yeah. So the main router, should it if you're being strategic with designing this, is it good to have that router reach all your nodes? In other words, having it be a more central location, or is it just daisy chaining from node to node and it doesn't really matter?
Well, it does matter, and I think I mentioned that earlier because in actuality, this is how it is in my house. But in reality, it really should be in a star shape. So if you have a central location, then your nodes would be strategically placed kind of in a star pattern with the modem router or router um, in a centralized location. In my house, that's not possible because my internet access comes into a bedroom, which I use as an office. So mine are actually daisy changed. The other two nodes, I have one in the dining room, and then I have the other one in the laundry. And the reason why the one's in the laundry because I have Wi-Fi enabled a Wi-Fi enabled washer and dryer. So that actually takes care of that that appliance.
Okay. So the more key thing then is to have that router where you're entering your house with
Well,
with
you
the
really
internet
don't have
service.
a choice. I mean, if the like in this case, the internet access or really well where it's coming in is through a bedroom, which is not central to the house.
Mhm.
So I have a daisy chain configuration. And I
Okay.
can really tell the difference because the node that's in the dining room, the signal strength is not as optimal as I would like it to be. And although it connects other devices, but in a lot of instances, the devices will connect to the modem. I mean, I'm sorry, to the router that's here in the bedroom, which I find odd. Now, mind you, I have almost everything. I shouldn't say I'm almost, I have everything. Everything in my house is Wi-Fi. I don't have any Ethernet connections at all. The TV, and I have some.
So, James, your um, satellite uh, receivers are connected wirelessly to the main router.
They are. They
Okay.
are. I guess I should have made that pointed that out because you can have them also connected via Ethernet as well, but mine are all connected wirelessly.
Okay, thank you.
You
And I
probably
find
could,
that probably the best way, because if not, I would have to be I'd have to string wire to the other locations, which I'm not capable of doing. So they're all connected wirelessly.
Aye.
Now, most of them have a really neat interface. Like I have Linksys, and on my phone, I have a little app. I don't know if you can see that, but it's, whoops, it just went away. Oh, uh, it's now connecting to the router. And this is how I can see all the devices that are connected and how they are connected. It's still, all right. So it shows let's see. It shows that there are 29, whoops, there are 29 devices connected, and there are 3 nodes. If I click on that, then it shows all the devices connected and the signal strength for each one. Um, so I can I have a visual of what's taking place and how they're connected. The other thing about this is that I have another menu here where I can go in and select the different functions. I can reboot the router. I can do a number of things via my smartphone. Now, when I first set this up, I had to set it up through my smartphone. There's for the Linksys, there's no other way of doing it. But
same for Netgear.
oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
And so I found it not too difficult to do. It just recognized the devices, and I just followed the prompts, and everything got connected. Let's see, I was going to show something else. I can do a speed check for the network. I can control my guest access if I want to. I have a guest network if I want to use that. You can also manage if you want to set up a network storage device. You can do that by connecting it directly to the router. There's a lot of things you can do from the interface.
Bill, Ken Arm teacher. I've run a cable from where our router is, which is downstairs in kind of a basement, all the way up to where the garage is. Can I set that cable into the mesh and extend it from the garage to the rest of the house?
You can. The one I have, the Linksys has an Ethernet port on the router itself, so it can be wired on the node. The node can be wired from the modem. I mean, I'm sorry,
Right.
from the router.
From the router, right? Okay.
So if you had a mesh network installed, you could put one of your you'd have your router where it is now, and you connect the cable from that to a second access point or satellite, whatever you want to call it, in your garage. And that guy would then potentially provide Wi-Fi connections for any parts of the house that are near that garage area. And that could even include a back deck or patio,
Yes.
so that when you're sitting out eating your cornflakes on a nice sunny day, here that would not be today. You could have nice Wi-Fi connectivity in your backyard.
I do that quite frequently.
Yeah.
I have a little Wi-Fi speaker that I use. I connect that. I have a grill that's also on Wi-Fi, and it's connected, and it's outside. I used one of those Wise
Oh,
plugins for my Christmas lights, and it was also on Wi-Fi, and it connected to the router, and there was all Wi-Fi. There was no wires involved, other than the ones that were for stringing up the lights. So you get I mean, if you have it set up, you'll get just a whole. Your house will just be encircled with Wi-Fi, and you can use it any place, anytime. I also have a Wise sprinkler system that's Wi-Fi, and it runs off that same system.
Hey, Ken, I wanted to clarify. So, and then Ty, you've had your hand up for a long time. So,
Oh, I'm
we'll
sorry,
ask you
Ty.
next.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
missed.
okay. So mesh is technically when it's wirelessly connected to each other. When you connect it with the cable, which is far superior to Wi-Fi because you don't cut into your speed, it's just like you're connecting to the network. It's another node. That actually is more ideal. So if you have the capability of physically running a cable to your Wi-Fi access point, that's going to be a better experience overall. So I would go down that route.
I
And
would agree.
preferably use probably Cat 6 at the best, or 5E at the bare minimum. Because the quality of the cable greatly affects the maximum speed.
Right. But since I'm ancient and I don't have the flexibility to climb on ladders and do all of this, routing of stuff, I have to go the wireless route unless I just hire somebody to come in and do all of that. And at this point in my life, I don't see where that would be any significant benefit. But yes, the wire, if you have the capability of getting it wired, would be more advantageous.
And you can more directly control what the topography of your network is going to be. That is it star based or is it daisy chained or whatever. The wiring sort of removes that ambiguity and sets, this is how I want it, or this is
Right.
how it's got to be.
Yeah. Because mine at the moment is daisy chained, which is not the best way to do it.
But it works. I
But it
have
works.
a mesh network as well, and depending on how I have it set up, it sometimes will run as daisy chained. All depends on where the main router is located. And I moved it to the basement when I got fiber put in, so it's right next to the router. And it works very well.
Hi.
Yeah, just a couple of points, Bill, on my experience with with the routers. I got a Netgear Orbi system,
Yeah.
and all three of the nodes that I have, the main and the two satellites, are near a wall. And in a couple of cases, there are a number of electrical cables in the wall that I hadn't thought of, didn't see the the signal or didn't see the indicators of watch it, that's going to give you trouble, because it will cause signals trying to go through the wall through that cable to be much weaker than if you can shift the node sideways, get it a foot or two away from any cables that are in the wall. That can help a lot going that direction, so to speak, from the router. You can, since most of us don't have X-ray vision, stud finders, of course, are one way to find where they are, but an easier way is to look for electrical outlets vertically from where you want to put the router, and if you see any, shift it sideways to get it a foot or two away from that. And if you're going, but you still, in some houses there are electrical outlets every 5 or 6 feet, so even there you have to be careful where you're moving.
Yeah, I was really disappointed when I got my third node, because the ideal placement, I thought, would be there's a dining room in this house and it's central to everything, and there's a buffet, and so I thought, well, if I set that node on the buffet, then it'll give me better coverage. Well, that's not really the case, because that particular node is the hardest one to connect to. Even though it does connect with other devices, but most devices will not connect to it. They prefer to connect to either to the main router that's in my bedroom, which is quite a distance away from everything else. So I've never been able to tweak that node to allow it to connect with the other devices. And there are some devices that it can connect to, but it just doesn't.
Bill, there's a setting that can help with that, which may or may not exist on your router. It's called band steering. Have you ever seen that?
I have what's called channel. It's called channel finder on the Linksys, and I've run that, and even when it tries to go in and find a better connection, it usually will choose the router in the bedroom as opposed to that node.
Is that like an app that
but
runs
the
on
node
your
is
device?
clearly, but you can see the node here. It's clearly, oops. Let's see. It's not going to show.
Yeah, the backgrounds do have their drawbacks.
Yeah, let me. Oh, there it is. Let me just try it. Let me just take this off. That's even
It went to
worse.
sleep.
You got to hold the phone in front of your face. Then you can
The
see
phone
it
went
better.
blank.
And then you can move
It's
in
a
a
Oh,
little
wait,
bit.
wait,
Oh,
wait.
turn off blur.
Let me
You've got
look at
blur turned on, Bill.
Yeah, hold on. I'll turn that off.
There you go.
Let's see. Oh,
It's
the
asleep.
screen went to sleep.
Yep.
All right, so there. So you can see where the two nodes are. And look, if you can you see the what the signal strength? I
Yeah, it
don't know
looks, well, it isn't, it's low on the bottom one in particular.
And the bottom one is the furthest one from the house. And that's in the laundry.
Okay.
But the dining room though is showing at least 2 bars. So that's fairly good. But let's see what's connected to those. This is the thing that's interesting. Okay, the office is the one that is what I refer, which is the bedroom. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Not really. It's kind of blurry.
gets
It's kind of
Patchy.
It's
blurry.
blurry, it doesn't focus
Yeah,
real well close up.
but the one that has the strongest signals is the one that is coming out of the office, and it has the most Wi-Fi devices connected to it.
What you might want to do, Bill, is since it looks like you've got opportunity to do it, is directionally from where you've got that unit in the dining room, figure out where it appears the best path is, going to those devices, and where the ones that hardly connect, what direction that is, and you might get a sense of where there might be a barrier, electrical or whatever, that's causing the problem. If nothing can connect to it, even if you're in the dining room very easily, that suggests some other kind of problem, like maybe the unit. But
Yeah, I thought about that. Maybe the unit might be defective, but um, it hasn't really given me um, I don't know how to test that. Let's just put it that way.
yeah, that is kind of a challenge. One other point to make is more along the security side. Um, a lot of the routers allow you to set a list of MAC addresses that are the approved devices, so to speak, that can connect to the network. And I use that for our internal network. I've got a set of MAC addresses that covers the spectrum of our devices, but I'll use the guest network for people who drop in and want to connect to things, and they don't need to get to all the devices and nodes in the internal network as the way to provide easy access for them.
Right. I have my guest access turned on, and it will appear on their device if they want to connect to the Wi-Fi.
Yep.
And I'll just give them the password for that. So that's turned on, and I control that through my phone. As Ty said, I can go in and assign those MAC addresses through the app. I have not done that, but
Yep.
but that's a good point. I'm going to try to move that node around some more.
Yeah.
It is kind of facing on it is on a back wall. So it'll be like I said, it's kind of a work in progress, but uh, with the number of devices I have connected to Wi-Fi, I marvel at how well it works.
Yep. Yep.
Because
one of my nodes was near the corner of a room, and that happened to be where a number of electrical wiring connections were being made between, well, from the basement all the way up to the next floor. And
right now, one of the things too you have to keep in mind, if you the node has to be near an AC outlet, so it's not self powered. So there will be electrical wires running in that area from it. But other than that,
yeah, but those
I
are
really
generally
can't.
on the floor and stuff, so they don't.
Right.
Yep.
I really can't think. I've tried to avoid all the obstacles because the dining room actually is an open area. It's just so there's no real obstacles between it and other devices, there are obstacles between it and where my main router is. So
That's not good.
but at one point, before I changed the router to the mesh, I had an older router and an extender. And the extender was out in the laundry room. And that was the connectivity wasn't always was intermittent. But I must say now that I have the mesh set up, the everything is very stable. I very seldom have anything that's disconnecting.
Good.
I want to point out that there's Kenneth have put several things in the chat that if anybody hasn't looked at those, it might. One of the things he says that the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro now supports Wi-Fi 7. And there is a Wi-Fi access point from I have not heard of this company before.
Ubiquity is typically an enterprise solution, but they've been playing in the consumer space now.
Okay.
That
they're
particular one is an enterprise access point, but it's an example. It's just to show that Wi-Fi 7 is out there.
okay. And then the best Wi-Fi 7 routers are located. Unfortunately, I don't think anything I've purchased is upgradable. I will have to buy all new hardware. It's not going to, you can't run software to make it Wi-Fi 7, which would be nice. Are we aware of any router that has that capability that you can upgrade to the next standard?
Nope.
I think
I've never heard of one.
I haven't either. So what you want to do when you're purchasing a router, you want to get the latest protocol because they're always backwards compatible. It's just you can't upgrade them to the next level.
And if you have old laptops, for instance, they're probably not going to support Wi-Fi 6.
And they'll slow down the rest of your devices because it'll connect at the lowest level.
Yeah.
That's true.
So basically, Bill, what you need to do is buy all new hardware and support the American economy.
I was surprised my Samsung phone supports Wi-Fi 6E. So that was, and I think this is only Wi-Fi 6E device I have. The rest of them, I do have a couple laptops that'll run on Wi-Fi 6, but none are on Wi-Fi 6E.
If
Yeah,
you
if they're
can't,
more than 2 or 3 years old, the likelihood of them even supporting Wi-Fi 6 is kind of low.
You know,
if you
these
don't
are
have, sorry.
Go ahead.
oh, I was
Even
going to
with
Some of
say
Linux?
these, go ahead.
Well, if the computer's old but it's running Linux and everything works, you're saying it's not going to work on Wi-Fi 6?
It won't support Wi-Fi 6 probably, but it'll work at Wi-Fi 5 probably.
Well, that's what we have. We have a Rumba vacuum that doesn't go up to 5. It only does the 2.5. Isn't that funny? 2.4 or 2.
well,
2.
no, that's not unusual. A lot of appliances will run on the lowest or still 2.
Yeah, they run on the old
and I think it's for good. I believe it's for good reason, and I forgot the reason.
Distance 2.4 goes farther.
That's true. Thank you. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so are you saying my laptop that's Linux or my Windows machine that's 10 probably won't work if we update this whole thing?
It depends. Sometimes on laptops, you can get it to talk well with Wi-Fi 6 by making sure you have the latest drivers installed. I've seen that happen.
Hmm.
But in a lot of cases, they'll run at Wi-Fi 5, which is is that AC?
Well, it's running at Wi-Fi 5 now.
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
No, that has nothing to do with the version. That is the
Oh,
bandwidth of the signal,
right, we have a 5 and we have a 2.5. We have,
2.4.
or 2.4, anyway, we have those two.
Yeah, but those are Wi-Fi bandwidths or signal type.
Spectrum.
Okay.
It's the spectrum it's operating on.
Okay.
But Wi-Fi, like Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, they'll still run on those two, probably more likely on the 5 gigahertz one. But 5 gigahertz has a shorter range, but you get
Right.
you get better signal strength if you can connect. But if you're
Okay.
more than, a few hundred feet away from the router, or you have to go through a lot of walls, especially if they have brick or, steel studs and steel HVAC ducting and that sort of thing through the walls, they become a little more difficult to go through because both of those Wi-Fi technologies, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, they actually will penetrate walls depending on the type of construction and the distance between your device and the router it's connecting to.
How close do these need to be to the modem? Can I have like,
The only one that should be relatively close to the modem is the main router.
okay. All right,
So-
we have the same situation as Bill. Our internet connection comes in downstairs.
And your
So-
main router should be sitting
there, that's
fairly
where it
close
is.
to it. Now, it could be
Okay.
apart by several feet if you've got a cable long enough to go between the two. You don't want to put it next to a lot of wiring. So you probably want to keep it away from the central fuse panel or circuit breakers and all that stuff where it comes into your house.
Or fluorescent lights.
Yes, fluorescent lights. So if you can move the modem won't care because it's all wired technology, whether it's coming in on cable TV,
It's not a worry. My panel is at the other end of the house.
well, that's good.
So
That's
I
good.
don't have any of those concerns. But that's where the juice box is not getting enough of the fast signal. So Ken used one of those extenders that even slows it down further. And he can run the solar panels, but he of course can't run the juice box because it even slows it down more. So we have to upgrade. That's what we have to do. We know that.
Well,
Just hope our
there's
computers
several
will
good-
continue to work.
there's several good brands out there. I happen to have a Orbi made by Netgear. And somebody else said they had that as well. Deborah, I don't remember what you were using. You're using an Orbi now, but you weren't always.
When we bought the house, there was there was one router. And, I have the same challenge. Everything came into the house on the west side and it's a sprawling ranch. So they ran one cable
That call.
to the modem through the attic down into the center of the house, and that's where their router sat. But the Wi-Fi signal was weak to the garage. So the first mesh I did was Eero. And I had one main router and 2 satellites, and then I got an extender for the garage. But then I wanted to upgrade, and my neighbors needed an upgrade. So I gave them my old Eeros because they had some challenges. In fact, I think I had 2 extenders, three, because I have to cover a lot of square footage. So I got the Orbeez. They were on sale at Costco. So I
Oh,
had
really? Oh,
the
yeah,
seven-
Costco's a great place to buy stuff like that.
yeah. So I
Okay.
have one on the west side of the house and one on the east side of the house and one right in the middle. And that seems to work really pretty well. It's covering the square footage that I need.
Okay.
The E-rays
What
were infinitely easier to set up. I struggled with the Orbeez a little bit, had to do some tech support time. But I eventually got them working. But like I said, some of it was user error and some of it just wasn't quite as easy. So the Eeros I had set up in like 10 minutes. I mean, it was so fast. And it was like, whoa, I love this.
I say there are and of course, Eeros are quite a bit less expensive than the Orbeez are.
It was a nice step up from what we had, but they, and they were new. The mesh hasn't been out there. We moved into the house in January of 2018. And I knew immediately that I needed to upgrade from what they did. And I've replaced my modem too. I upgraded my modem. Our internet is not as fast as Craig's, but it's pretty zippy. I get about 175 download. And that
Pretty
takes
good.
care for all of our needs.
I have fiber and I just ran a test a little bit ago. Download was 940 megabits per second and upload was 847 megabits per second.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Of course,
incredible.
I'm paying quite a bit for that gigabit Ethernet connection.
You got gigabit
Well,
service.
that's not available to us.
Yeah, I
have
understand
Comcast.
that. And it wasn't available to me until a couple of years ago when I saw the guys out in the backyard painting blue and orange and yellow stripes on the ground. And I'm going, can I ask what you're doing? And they said, well, AT&T is putting fiber into the neighborhood. And I said, oh, that's a good thing.
Egan, you've had your hand up for a while.
Not very long, but just as a follow-up question about the fluorescent lighting issue. I mean, I only have fluorescent lighting in like one big closet in our laundry room, but I've got compact fluorescent bulbs all over the house. Are those an issue? The compact fluorescents?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You don't want the router sitting or one of the satellites sitting right next to the light. But if it's a couple of feet away, you shouldn't have significant interference.
Yeah, I mean, I have a ranch house, as Craig well knows. He helped
Yes, I've been in
install
there.
insulation in it and some of the wire, but when it was still under construction. But most of my basement lights are compact fluorescents. And up inside the main house, not really. So I was curious when you
just have
mentioned
LEDs mostly throughout the living space. And a few
there are some, but
still.
actually most of them are still incandescents.
Yeah, I replace mine as they go belly up.
Yeah.
Egan, what I've been reading here, I was looking, is that both tubes and bulbs can interfere, but as Craig said, you want to keep them away from it. So the farther away, the better, because it releases, what did it say, microwave range radiation. That's what's impacting the Wi-Fi.
Okay. Well, my router is in the opposite corner of the house from the 2 rooms that have the classic fluorescent lighting.
That shouldn't be a problem.
So can
Shouldn't
low
is the
quality
operative
LED
word.
bulbs.
I'm sorry, Ken, what's that?
low quality LED light bulbs can also interfere, low
Oh.
quality ones.
So if you can buy a bunch of those for 50 cents a piece, they probably aren't worth using.
The whole point.
Not around Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Donna,
Okay.
you have your hand up?
I have one more question. My husband and I are arguing. He says he can use my existing router and just put these OB extenders on it. I said, no, you have to buy a brand new router. So who's right, guys?
I agree with your husband.
What?
So the
Really?
route, well, here's the thing. It depends on what you mean. Most people will call a router. No, I'm not raising my hand. Most people will call a router multiple things. So a router does one thing specific. So you can have a router and it could have no Wi-Fi at all, but the Orbi mesh network, if you plug that in, that can serve as your new mesh. You don't necessarily have to replace your router, but from a user, from a quick and easy and user-friendly way of doing it, replacing it all, it would be easier to roll it out that way than trying to integrate it in with whatever router you have now.
Okay, and our router is not 6 or 6E. I know that. So we have an
So
old
your
one.
router does Wi-Fi as well?
No, we have a
Modem and a router.
modem that does the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Is your mic on? Anyway, so, okay, I think we have to replace the whole thing. That's where I'm at, because it's old. At this point,
Yep.
it's,
Well, your modem, if it does Wi-Fi, you're probably going to want to disable that
no, my
Wi-Fi
modem's
on the
separate.
modem.
My modem is separate from the router. But I
Well,
don't
like-
think the router is not 6 or 6E. I think we had to get one that was 5 when we went to buy it. So I know it's not up to the latest.
Like my equivalent of a modem, since I'm already digital, since it's fiber, that route or that modem supports Wi-Fi, but I have it disabled. I'm using my mesh network instead. And you can have both, but yeah, they have to have separate SSIDs, and it's probably more trouble than it's worth in most cases.
And one thing too, we've talked about modems a couple times. There's a new standard out. Well, it's not new, but if your modem is over 5 years old, it might not be a DOCIS 3 or 3.1. And most cable companies are moving towards that. So you might want to look into upgrading your modem either through your ISP, or if you purchase your own, just buy a new one.
So that latest number, I have to make sure it's DOCIS 3.1.
DOCSIS 3.1 is the latest.
Okay.
4.0 is out now,
Oh,
but they're
geez.
not common. So
Okay.
you're going to see 3.0 more common.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well.
and there is a 3.0, but there's also a 3.1s. So get the 3.1. And I
Okay.
guess Kenneth, can they use if you buy a 4, is it backwards compatible?
Yes.
So if you
Yeah,
have
it's,
that, I mean, if that's available, then
Go for it, unless
Yeah,
they're
it's just
ridiculously
basically-
expensive.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it's software and standards that allow, like Craig's got a crazy fast connection. I can get sort of fast out here, but these newer standards allow you to get the faster speed. So even getting a 3 or a 3, I agree, get a 3.1 if you can. You want to make sure what you get matches the internet speed that you have, or potentially what you're going to be moving to in the next 4 or 5 years. So future-proof yourself, but get at least what you need today.
Yeah.
All right. As I said, this was a lesson for both of us. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you're both here.
No, she's
This is a very wireless networking is complicated. There's so many options out there, and I've been dealing with, and I say dealing with because a lot of times it's not fun. Things break and you don't know why. Dealing with Wi-Fi for so long that I have a few things that I think about when I go shopping if I need to replace it. One, the Wi-Fi standards that we're talking about, Wi-Fi 7, would be perfect for Craig, someone who can actually take advantage of 733 megabits per second or faster. So it doesn't even get up to, I think it might get the gigabit, but it's close to it. But Donna, if you're only getting 150, then you're throwing your money away. That one router system was $2,300 for 3 nodes. Who the heck wants to pay $2,300 when you're not even going to use it, right? So
You're not going to get enough out of it to be worth the money.
exactly. So what you really want to think about is, what's my internet speed? What's the fastest I can get in the future? Then base that decision on the Wi-Fi you can get. Like 6E is fine. I just replaced my access points in the house with 6E because I can't get gigabit here. And base it on that. Of course, future-proof yourself because I don't know when we're going to get it. But one of the really useful things to think about when you go shopping is most devices connect at 2.4 because they have the older wireless chips. My cameras, I can't even think, the robot vacuum, all that stuff is on 2.4. So they already slowed the rest of my network down. But the one thing I was looking for is if you're truly meshing, and by meshing, I mean connecting from one wireless access point wirelessly to the other one, then it's ideal to have what's called a dedicated backhaul. It essentially utilizes 5 gigahertz or 6, depending on the router, on its own channel. So I'm just going to simplify it. Let's say it's on channel 20 for your Wi-Fi network. It'll pick channel 50 far away. And they communicate that way, and they don't interfere with the internet traffic back and forth. So you, in turn, increase your performance because you don't have the chitter chatter back and forth. So look for something that has a dedicated backhaul. If you indeed need, what the heck is that behind me? Oh, that's weird. If you indeed, I don't remember what I was going to say. Look for the backhaul if you can get it, but most of the wireless mesh networks out there are going to be just fine for most people.
I know the Orbi has that 5 gigahertz back channel, backhaul, whatever you want to call it.
By the way, here's a new one that just got released. But yes, that does. I didn't mean to interrupt, Craig. I kind of forgot to show this.
What is it?
$179. It's from Ubiquiti. It's the Unify Express. It has a router, and actually you can get pretty advanced if you want to. It has a Wi-Fi 6E access point. It can mesh with other Unify devices. So I could actually take even one of this is the old access point I had that I'm giving to my family here. It can take this and wirelessly connect to extend the range, but it's more limited. So you can only do like 5 devices, but this is $179 and it's a really good device. I just did this in my parents' house. Super easy to set it up. You can either set it up on your phone, tablet, or if you like the old school way, like I do, you can connect to the IP address in a web browser and do all the fancy things, or you can just simply use your app and do the easy setup. So I'm really impressed with this thing.
Say the name
Really
again, or
impressed.
spell the name again.
It's UNIFI, so Unify, one word,
Okay.
Express. I'll put a link in the chat for you too.
Okay.
And
then-
how much were you
Then
paid
did you
for?
get extenders beyond that then? You had to get the
You
little
can-
balls plug in elsewhere?
You can buy as many of these as you want to make them extensions. You typically, when you buy extenders, you stick with the same brand, but this is also a Unify access point, so this will extend it. This is a little more complicated. I would say stick with this. Buy a couple of these if you want some
And
extensions.
was this a paid testimonial?
It was.
Also, Ken, we should really be careful using that word extender, Because you go to a
Yes.
commercial
Oh.
store, they'll
Okay,
sell you an extender. You want to use
Yes.
node.
node, okay, thank you.
And
Kinda
use the
learned
word
Absolutely right.
mesh in there too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cause
I was going to ask, Kenneth, I have the capability of doing that backhaul that you've mentioned, but the way I read my instructions, the only way I can implement it is through a wire. I
some
can't
of them
do it.
do it Wi-Fi as well. Depends
Okay, I
on
can't.
on the device. Because some brands will do either wired or Wi-Fi, and they usually use 5 gigahertz.
Yep.
And a separate channel that's out of the way of everything else.
I'll see if I can access that. I read that, but I don't know how to implement it.
So this will do, one of these is WAN. I can't tell from where I am, and one of them's a LAN. So I could actually plug in this access point with the cable directly into it, and then that would be my backhaul, which is even better. Anytime you're wired, it's better.
Yeah.
So essentially now I have the fastest connection I could possibly get, as fast as this thing will go, because the wire is faster. By the way, that's as small as it is. That's what it looks like an
okay,
Apple
I
TV.
was gonna say that isn't all that big. It's about the size of an Apple TV.
so those are my nodes that you're showing me, and each node costs roughly $180. From what I'm,
For this one, yes, but there are less expensive options out there. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have said this wrong. It says it's $149. I thought it was $179. Maybe I told you the wrong model. Let me make sure I got the right thing here first before you click that.
As Kenneth said, it's not as easy as plugging in a toaster.
Oh, it's $149. I'm sorry.
okay,
It's cheaper today. No, I just had the wrong price.
Cheaper toaster.
okay.
That'd be a pretty expensive toaster if you had to pay $150 for a toaster.
Well, 179 was even more.
Yeah, it better put the butter on that toast as well.
Better toast.
Well,
Or
in
the
most cases, when you go out and buy your mesh, it will come in a system. You'll get a router and maybe a node or 2 nodes.
Well,
Unless
that's
you're
what I
going
was saying. Don't we need a new router to go with this?
Yes,
So we do need, that's what I was trying to say to my husband. He kept saying, no, we don't need a new router. I
It
think we
depends.
need
unless
a
that
new
router has
You're
mesh
saying no,
capability,
yes. I don't know that it has that ability.
probably doesn't.
Okay. Which one updates itself? It's a real pain to go update these things. Does this Unify update itself?
It has that feature, yes.
Okay, that's important. That's
Yeah,
important.
most of those you have to turn that feature on. But yes, it can be beneficial to turn that on.
Would you suggest if I showed up in person, Best Buy would be the place to go? I don't have a
Not for
computer.
Unify.
No, okay. I don't have a computer store per se in Olympia. I mean, I have Best Buy. There's no more
So if you're
radio.
going to
Shack.
And
if
driving
you go
to
to Best Buy, you're going to
Seattle,
have Linksys, Netgear, Omni, and what's the Google and Google. Those are probably the ones that have,
TP-Link maybe.
and TP-Link. Those are the ones they have in the store.
Okay.
But make sure you say mesh and make sure you don't use the word extender, because those
No,
guys will sell you an extender.
right.
Yep.
We've
Which
had those
isn't the
before.
same
We don't
thing.
like them. Yeah. We don't like those extenders. They really slowed it down. Okay, so if all I had to do was just go buy the Unify router and get 2 nodes and just try it, and then I see if I need a 3rd node.
Yeah,
guess that's-
almost probably in most residential, it'd be rare if somebody needed 4 nodes.
Well,
Plus-
I think,
Yeah,
Deborah,
that many.
you said you had a really tough experience with one and then a good experience with the other one, which one was the good one? Oh, look at that, balloons. I don't know how I did that.
It isn't even your birthday, is it?
I did this, right?
Yeah.
The
I don't know.
Eros, the Eros were really easy, but they didn't give me the range I needed.
So then she went with OB.
And the Netgers were just a little more challenging, but, and I didn't have one bit of trouble with the Eros. In the time, I probably had them for a couple of years and then upgraded.
In the Orbi Netgear, there was somebody who used to attend one of our SIGs pretty regularly. She had a problem with one of her nodes not working, and it turns out that it was user error. There's a button on the back of some of those that turns it on and off, and she failed to press the button to turn it on.
Oh, jeez.
And you know, they work better when you actually turn them on and plug them in and that sort of stuff. And she admitted to us that that was her problem. And I said, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Okay. Well, I think we have an investment in front of us. New modem, new router, and new.
You're at least going to have an
mesh
investment.
nodes.
You're at least going to have an investment in time on your hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just hope
hopefully
our
it'll be
computers
short,
continue to work.
but it's been the experience of those people I know that have talked to tech support from Netgear that their tech support is quite useful. I don't know about some of the others.
How about this unifier? Is there good tech support?
Well, here's where I pause. The setup experience was super easy. I have, through brute force, had to become a network engineer to do certain jobs I've had in the past. So the way I configure devices is slightly different, but I actually went through the easy setup process and was shocked. What you're dealing with here is you're buying from an enterprise company. So the gear will be rock solid. It will be reliable. It'll probably do way more things than you ever wanted it to do. It's kind of like the Apple of the networking world. They really do a fantastic job of doing things correctly. But as far as support, I've never called support because I've reached out to support one time over chat, and that's never a good experience when you can't explain yourself. At least for me, I like to talk through it and say, this is what I'm doing. Through email or chat, there's things that are missed. Like I said, hey, blah, 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 blah. And then they asked me a dumb question. And I said, I already answered that. I told you that. What I'm asking is this. Oh, can you send the logs? No. So I don't know. That's the problem. It's a great device. It's easy to set up. It worked flawlessly for what I needed. But support is such a key thing. And really, you might want to go with one of the companies that's been dealing with consumers for a lot longer than Ubiquiti has.
Okay. So it sounds like Orbi with Netgear. They've been around a long time. And I've heard good things about them. And I'm assuming they have that dedicated backbone
Yes.
backbone
Netgear does,
backline.
yeah.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Even the older not Wi-Fi 6 devices have that 5 gigahertz back channel.
Back channel.
service.
Okay.
Now that's something Best Buy could answer when you talk to them. Say, I want one of the mesh Wi-Fi systems that has the dedicated backhaul. Dedicated backhaul.
Oh,
They can read a
okay.
box. And if they can't, then go to another Best Buy, but dedicated backhaul.
I was to say that stuff is written on the box.
Okay.
Big feature.
All right. Okay. And Costco had OB. The other gal
they-
said something about.
They occasionally have you know, like
Well,
always.
I'll look online with them and see if they have the mesh nodes. I'm getting the right words. The mesh nodes. Okay. I'll look and see. Well, guys, you answered a lot of questions for us because we were going round and round on this. So I'm
Yeah,
so
it's not
happy
worth
you
a
did
fight,
this.
guys.
No, we just don't agree.
Well, you're both right. You are
Well,
both
no,
right.
we
So
just celebrated 55 years of marriage.
Well, congratulations.
We have survived each other. But in the tech world, it's frustrating for us.
They say don't go to bed mad, stay up and
No.
fight.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. I appreciate all the advice. I really do. Thank you.
Thanks.
It does help that we've got several of us here that have had some mesh networking experience. I know Kenneth has, I have, Ty has, Bill has for sure. And Deborah
You
has.
guys have more experience than I have, I think. But it was a good session. I learned a lot.
Well, I learned something too.
that's what usually happens. We
Yeah.
all learned something. Were there any other questions? The library's shutting down soon. So Egan, I assume you're at the library.
Yeah, I am. I need to listen. In 3 or 4 minutes, I should shut down.
They close at 9, right?
Right.
And you're in Hilliard,
That's
in
correct.
the Hilliard room.
Hilliard room, right? Yep.
Just for everyone's information, I don't know whether anybody is into amateur radio, but there's an amateur radio mesh network in Dallas, Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, that covers the whole town on
That's
amateur
pretty
radio.
cool.
Wow.
That's been set up. It's been set up since 2014, 2015.
Well, that's quite a while then.
Mesh-
And are you in the Dallas area?
No, I'm in DPCUC. That's Durham PC Users Club.
Oh, in North Carolina.
No. Durham, Ontario, Canada.
Oh, Durham, Ontario. Well, when you say Durham in the US, we usually think of the Eastern North Carolina.
Yeah, well, that's American thinking.
Yes. So I apologize.
You actually might be physically closer to us than North Carolina even.
Oh, that probably is true. And their temperatures are probably a little cooler than it is in North Carolina.
It's only minus 12 right now, Celsius.
That's still
Nothing.
That's still cold. That's like 10 degrees or so.
Yeah, well, you got to put a jacket on when you go out.
There's Cal over there with his. I worked with a guy from Miami and this was here in Columbus, and he wore a windbreaker all summer long.
Bye, Egan.
Bye, Egan.
Bye. See you guys at the board meeting.
Yep.
He has a physical limitation. He has to leave. So.
Well, this was a very good meeting tonight. Thank you, Bill, for.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm glad I was able to encourage some conversation because I learned a lot myself. And I'm just a hobbyist. I by no means technical at all, but I do enjoy it.
What did you do for a living when you were still working?
Well, actually, I work for the FAA, and I was in the IT department, but I was a functional. In other words, I didn't do any programming. I was a system analyst for, I wrote up specifications for programs.
having done that, that's kind of a major difficulty sometimes.
Yeah, it is. But
I've done that a few times. I said, "Oh, I hate writing requirements," but it is a necessary evil. Somebody's got to do it.
yes, but I've been retired for so long, I've probably forgotten everything I know. I retired in 2007. So this
Yeah, no, I
is,
was 2019, so
yeah, I just um, computers is just kind of a hobby. I enjoy tinkling with them. I don't know that much about it, but I do enjoy learning about them and and how to make them work. I mean, I do have some things I actually do um, for my computer club, like I do the newsletter, and I also give Windows classes because I'm not too bad with the software. I can do a lot of that. So and I do some tech support for our members as well. But I have a lot of limitations. But I always learn. It's always
people will say, "Well, it's easy if you know what you're doing." Yeah, the
do you ever?
problem is there wasn't always a time where we knew what we were doing.
Yeah,
And I taught at a community college here, and he said, "Well, this is easy for you." And I said, "Well, it's partly because I've been doing this for 30 years plus." And but I said, we all started out on the same blank canvas. And I mean, John has been in software development for many moons himself, and so has Ty. But there was a time they didn't know a thing about any of this. And
I made
so
a comment on a meeting today. It was a question. What's the difference between a technician and an end user? The technician
experience,
can just Google better.
yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people don't think about is if you're having trouble figuring out how to use something, go to the internet and snoop around. Now, it might take you a while to get an answer.
But you'll find the information.
The technical issue I'm having with getting a Let's Encrypt SSL certificate installed is still somewhat eluding to me. I've gotten a little closer, but close doesn't count except in horseshoes and grenades.
So why you try to do this, Craig?
Why? Oh, because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Oh,
My personal website has been down because of SSL problems, and it's not letting me assign a new certificate. It's doing, the web server's doing some goofy things, and I don't see why it's doing that. So I haven't spent a lot of time looking through the logs, but I think I need to. Looking at log files, if James, you've been a Linux user for a while. Sometimes if things are eluding, go take a look at the logs. You might get some insight into fixing your problem. So it's always fun.
Or insight of what the problem really is.
Yeah. And at some point you'll go, "Oh, that was stupid." But things change all the time. So this thing that used to work great doesn't want to work anymore because they changed something.
Or they changed a couple somethings.
Yeah, that's the problem. And they aren't always forthcoming